And a coach can make and break you, right? You have horror stories of some coaches keeping offer letters from players, or you have some coaches that will even use their own gas money to take you on a college visit.
I'm Deja White, and this is Students of the Game, where we sit down and talk to former athletes and just get a little bit of their perspective of how being a student athlete was. I feel like you have a certain mindset when you are a student athlete, especially when you enter into the real world, that might be a little bit different than the every average day person who didn't play team sports growing up. I'll let everybody else introduce themselves as well.
I'm Coach White, and I'll be speaking today with a former lacrosse player.
I'm NaJarri, or Coach Whitehead to some. I played lacrosse at Southwest DeKalb High School, and then I went off to play some ball in college.
Perfect. Well, that leads us into our first question. I want to know, how did you decide to pick up lacrosse? Like, what inspired you to become a lacrosse player or a student athlete in general?
Yeah, well, student athlete, that started way before lacrosse did.
Okay.
So long as I've been playing sports, I didn't play a lot of recreational sports. I played, I think maybe one season of rec, and then it was just easier for my family and the dynamic that I was raised for us to play in school. So my first time playing, sports in school was at Chapel Hill Middle School in Decatur, where it's greater. So back then we were the Hornets. I believe they're the Panthers now. But back then, that's when school sports started for me. And that was baseball, actually, and then football. And I don't even know if I loved those sports as much as they were just available. But that started, my just athletic career. And then I went on to Southwest DeKalb High School, where I actually played a non-traditional sport, which was wrestling. That was new to me. I liked it more because I was not that big at
Mm-hmm.
high school. It wasn't my build. I was probably not even 5'7" then. I wrestled 120 to start off, I believe, and then move into 125 and 130. And weight classes are different now, but you could tell I was pretty small, on the smaller side. But I liked wrestling because it was about you. You wrestle, somebody in your own weight class. Back then we had TJ Strickland and Ken Malcolm, and the football field was just not a place for me. And then on the basketball side, you had guys just as big, D1 athletes, and I didn't find myself being as competitive in those sports. It just didn't make sense. So I stuck with wrestling, and I was all right at it. But lacrosse came my junior year. It came by proximity. It became available to Southwest DeKalb. As far as I know, we were the first school in DeKalb County to get it. We started off as club, boys and girls. And then that next year, 2013, we went GHSA. And that was, as far as I know, the first DeKalb County school to get lacrosse. And from there, it took off. I fell in love with that sport, and I took it as far as I could.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to address you, Coach Whitehead.
Okay.
So, Coach Whitehead, I want to dive into a few of those things that you just mentioned. You stated that you started lacrosse in 2012 and you were a junior, and then that following year was your senior year, 2013. What sparked your interest to join the lacrosse team?
It was something that was new. I think I was familiar with just non-traditional sports anyways. We had rugby one year as well, and I played that. So it was just something that seemed exciting. Yeah, Mr. Malden,
I don't remember
uh,
that.
if you remember Mr. Malden and Mr. Phillips,
Okay.
they actually uh, created a club rugby team. I mean, we did it for, one full season. And we just didn't have enough interest that yet next year to continue with. But we made it actually all the way to a championship. That's that first season of playing rugby. So non-traditional sports, from wrestling to that, I mean, it was something that was normal to me. When I picked up the stick, I found a lot of freedom within that sport to be able to create, and I just liked it. It was new.
Okay.
It was exciting.
Okay. See, that takes me into the next question. So, the question is, and it's for students today playing non traditional sports or even playing traditional sports. The question is, how did you find balance and being competitive and enjoying the sport. Most people dive into, they want to compete, but they don't enjoy the sport, or it's not competitive enough and I can't enjoy the sport. What's your take on that?
I think just in general of how not only how I see sports but life as well. I find the fun in things, and usually when it's not fun anymore or it's not passionate anymore to me, I don't do it anymore. I'm not giving my all into it or my energy into it. I just don't care to do that thing. Money is not something that fuels me. I think passion is. So I would tell that player, are you truly passionate about that thing? And that should be your drive to do it, not the team around you. Because competitive wise, we weren't very competitive as a team. It was our first year playing it, and being competitive wasn't the reason. I guess as a team that made me stick with it, but me being a competitor individually actually did. Me wanting to just get better and develop the craft, and continue to learn the game and develop in the game. That was enough for me. I mean, we got whooped most of the times, but I shook players' hands gladly because I took a lesson after every single game. I know I developed personally after every single game. Whether the men that played to the left or right of me did, that was on them as individuals. But I think we played as a team, played great as a team, and we learned after every game, the boys and the girls.
I approach life similarly. Like if I don't like something anymore, I'm like, I tried it. It's not a regret. At least I did it, but I'm gonna move on. So I'm with you. I get that. I really don't remember going to many of y'all's games, but y'all seem like y'all were having fun on the field. So I guess that's all that matters in the end.
We were playing like at the same time. Like I
Yeah.
know I watched some of y'all's games. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna kick it over to the next question. And I always love to know, like, what do you wish you would have known before starting, whether it's lacrosse, whether it's playing sports in general? But what's something that all future student athletes or current student athletes should know before going down this path of becoming a student athlete?
That's interesting. I wouldn't have changed a thing. So I'm not sure if it's something that I wish I would have known.
Hmm.
I think you should be aware of what it could cost. I think you should just assess that, just your benefit cost. Is it worth you putting the time that you're going to put in it? Do you really love it to spend money and, invest in it? Because that's an investment. Time is an investment. You asking your parents to pay dues just to turn around and quit, that's an investment. So it's like, if you're going to have other people invest in you, the least that you can do is truly know that if this is going to be something that you feel like you're going to keep up with. And even if you don't like it, that's fine too. But at least give yourself a chance enough to put enough time and effort into a season. I would say complete the season at least to know if you're going to at least enjoy it. I would say truly try it out. Yeah, give it everything you got at least for a season. Give yourself a chance. So I would say probably weigh the benefit cost, but that's hard to know too, before getting into it. That's a tricky question because I don't really regret anything. I kind of went in blind. It was something that no one knew what this was going to be. I think we all just did it because it seemed exciting.
It was definitely exciting. And to be honest with you, just going back to 2012, it was very exciting. We all went in not expecting a whole lot, hoping to meet new friends, learn the game, because we learned the game on the fly.
We really
The
did.
season came quickly, we executed, and I think it was rewarding. I mean, definitely was rewarding.
If anything, I wish we would have started earlier. I mean,
Yes, yes,
you can't
yes.
change, right? Like we learned it when we got it when we got it. But if I could have added or changed anything, something I would have known, I wish I would have known the sport in sixth grade, and would put 5 years into the sport by the time I got a senior. But yeah, who knows what that would have been.
I'm really interested in trying to get younger students interested in the game of lacrosse. I
Absolutely.
know that's something that we don't have currently. Even if it's just giving them sticks, mentioning the game, if they can learn how to cradle and catch, at a young age, I think we will advance the the skill set in lacrosse because, like I said, we were learning on the fly.
Right.
So it's very challenging to try to learn everything on the fly. But I think we did an excellent job.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Dang. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna throw a curveball because now I really want to know for people who might be listening and they may think it might be too late to join a sport. Is there a certain age where you should think about joining a sport if you want to be serious or competitive
Yeah,
in sport?
absolutely. I don't think I would say this. I think it depends on the sport, one. And no matter what the sport is, the later you join, the bigger the curve is going to be, right? If you get into a sport your freshman year, you have time to develop on a junior varsity, as opposed to as a senior, I think you can only play varsity, So of course, how late you join matters. It's all kind of extraneous factors that go into that too, from skills to genetics. But that's also one reason why I like lacrosse too and stuck with it. I thought my odds at using lacrosse as a means to an end was better than football or another sport. Everybody plays football where we're from. Everybody plays basketball. And I mean, if you got the eye for baseball, sure, you can play that too. But I felt like my odds for lacrosse, as fast as I picked it up and when I played against other people, and the ability to score versus people that have been playing this since elementary, I felt like my chances were just greater in that to leverage that to get a free education, which I did.
Okay.
Makes
All right.
sense.
See, that just pulls me right into the next question. And I don't know your response to this, but I know I have an opinion because I coached you in high school.
Yeah.
So the question is, what organization or community had an influence and supported you as a student athlete?
Yeah, absolutely. This awesome coach, y'all may know him. His name was Coach White. I think that's primarily was an influence. Your coach does matter. And I think your coach can be your biggest cheerleader and your biggest support when it comes to sports. And a coach can make and break you, right? You have horror stories of some coaches keeping offer letters from players. You have some coaches that will even use their own gas money to take you on a college visit. A coach can make and break you, but a coach is not the only way or shouldn't be your everything when putting yourself out there either. I think you also should exercise a bit of leadership in using your own free will to take your life into your own hands, right? So if you have film, get that out. In the way that I did, in the way that I emailed coaches, I went to Coach White to help me build the email, right? But I took some initiatives to look up a website. I believe it was NCSC, but I know that still exists to this day because I seen it not too long ago. And I asked my mom to invest in me. She knew I was serious about it. I put all of my time and my energy. I practiced outside of practice, and I was really sold and put my faith 1,000% that I was going to get a college scholarship. It may have not have been D1, like I thought that it would have been in the beginning, into the realization that what are you really trying to do? Are you trying to get a college education or are you just trying to play D1 ball? So after reality set in and reassessing my true goals, right? This website helped me send some film. It helped me email coaches to just give me a chance. And I think it was about 4 schools. And out of those 4 schools, sat down with Coach White and we weighed those schools. We looked at tuition. We looked at where those schools were located. We looked at majors, just things that should be important. I think that just aren't discussed or valued enough when really trying to make a decision like that. Yeah, we want you to go and have fun, but if you're going to a school and you're playing for 4 years and you balled out, but it wasn't even a major, that what did you walk away with? What did you do it for? What was the means to an end? So I think your coach, I think you taking some initiative to research some schools, find an email which are public, and you just send an email saying, hey, coach, I'm interested. I think that shows a coach, just your leadership skills and ability and passion, right, for the game to want to play at the next level. So I think, yeah, those 2 things, your coach and some initiative.
Before we move on to the next question, Coach Whitehead, I want to tell you, you were one of the most powerful ambassadors for lacrosse. You actually created the book because your energy and your love that you had for lacrosse, I didn't see it from anyone else. Meaning, when I say anyone else, it takes special student athletes to be seen by others, and you were that student that was seen by others and wanted to be sponsored. That's why I went into that community piece, because there was a community
Yeah,
that
community.
actually
Yeah, absolutely.
that supported you,
For sure.
that purchased our goalie
Yeah,
net.
yeah. Goals, two brand new
So
goals.
this was because of you we received those items. So you're the true ambassador for lacrosse at your high school. You created this book. This is your story.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I received that.
I
Thank
love
you.
that. I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. And I want to talk a little bit about challenges you might have faced when you did go to that next level. It's a little bit different. Like a lot of people think you work super hard in high school and that's the hardest you'll ever work. But what happens when you make it to that next level? How hard are you working at that level? How do you overcome sort of those challenges with the rigor of the workouts? If you face any injuries, like how do you overcome that too in a collegiate level?
Yeah, you absolutely can face injuries. I thank God that I didn't have like any career ending ones. I think my biggest injury was taking a little cross shot in practice to the rib. It didn't crack a rib, but it bruised it. Oftentimes, when it's a rib and that being, just a very fragile, part of your body, they say sometimes the bruise is worse than the fracture sometimes. So that just had me out, I think, for a few weeks, but I don't think it set me out of game. I'm just kind of rested. And I think a lot of injuries can be preventative sometimes from just how you take care of your body and stretching. So just minor stuff, shin splints, things like that. I had to tape my legs quite a bit because I had anterior shin splints towards like junior year, senior year, but nothing that just kept me out. Things that could just be rehabbed. Usually nowadays, you have athletic trainers that can help you with things like that, depending on the school that you go to. But keeping up with the rigor and the demand and challenges absolutely will have. College is different, Being a student athlete is just that. No one's going to wake you up. It takes just a different level of initiative on your behalf to be the student that you want to be, but also the athlete. Your coach is not going to hold your hand. He expects you to come knowing the plays if you all went over plays. He expects you to catch a pass, to make the shot if it's an easy shot, right? There are just more expectations as it comes to college. And when you don't meet those expectations, unlike high school, your parent can't coddle you. So your parent can't come to the sideline and say, why you ain't playing my baby? Your baby didn't perform. So it's just a different level of expectation in college, and it's on you. And depending on how you perform, kind of dictates where your career goes. And I enjoyed that. I think I flourished in that type of environment. I took all morning classes. I enjoyed the 8 a.m. workouts and the two-a-days. I enjoyed the experience, and I would give that as advice. I would say immerse yourself in the experience. You're not going to be able to control when your practice is, what type of coach you have, and I think that goes to life as well. When you get a job, you can't control your boss. You're not going to be able to control everything. But I always say to my players, no matter what sport it is, I think that always translates to life. The biggest lesson is to control what you can control. So do what you can. And if you are a person of faith like I am, let God handle the rest.
Yeah. When you said the two-a-days, I had flashbacks. I was on the rowing team for one semester in college. We had three-a-days, 6 a.m. practice. In the middle of the day, we had to go train and then show our coach like how far we did on the rowing machine. And then at night at 6 p.m., we had to go on the water. It was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, the three-a-days I can't. The two-a-days I can't. So I hope everyone listening heard you and hears me. I got out of there after one semester, but like if you if you thrive in that environment, then college sports might be for you. Um,
Different in college.
I'm gonna keep our conversation going. The next question I want to ask is about college searching. You talked a little bit about it earlier, but when you were looking for colleges, what did you actually look for in a college? I know you mentioned like D1 at one point, so you can talk a little bit about your journey from thinking about D1 and then eventually abandoning that thought and moving more towards where you landed.
One thing about lacrosse is it's probably the fastest growing sport in the world. Lacrosse will be in the Olympics, I believe, next time it comes around. It's huge. DeKalb County had two lacrosse schools back in 2013, right? It was us in MLK. Now I think there may be five. Like it's just growing. And I would say, to the point of now looking for schools, there are more options available for the player that's learning later in their career. You have more schools that you can go and play for. So I learned while doing my college searches that the schools that you see on TV aren't the only schools that exist. Those are typically, right, your D1 schools. Those are the schools that you're going to turn on a Saturday and you see a Georgia, a Florida, a Texas, right? You see these big schools. But you also have D2, you also have D3, NAIA, which is where I went, NAIA. So I kind of settled on D2, D3, NAIA as these are where I'm going to focus, my efforts because these schools fit where I am right now in my player development. As a senior, I probably still I wouldn't have started D1. I might have been able to get on the line, right? But I know I wasn't there, I'm talking about a senior in college, but I know I wasn't there as a senior in high school. So I think you just have to, assess where you truly are. And I think if you truly want to play, I think that's available. It may not just be where your first choice is, depending on, what you're trying to really accomplish.
I want to ask you a question, and it's right there. How can student athletes be true to themselves to know where they are as an athlete playing their sport?
I think you can compare yourself to your peers. I always, no matter what level I played on, believed I was the best player on the field. And I don't think that was prideful. I think that was just the competitor of me. I just wanted to be better. If it was me versus you in the rep, I believed I was going to win the rep. No matter what, right? That's just the ethic that I put in. I knew I put in the work, so I felt like I was going to win at that rep. However, when you assess where you are compared to your peers, right? D1 level athletes, you have the top, 300 players in Georgia. Are you on that list? Those are typically the players that are going to go D1. Could you be a player in a diamond in the rough? Absolutely. Which is why I said, put yourself out there. But if you emailed 50 D1 coaches and no one contacted you back, that may be saying you may not be ready for that level. It doesn't mean that you're not good. It doesn't mean that you can't progress to that level. Some players go JUCO, develop for 2 years, and then go D1, right? So I think you always trust yourself, shoot for the moon, but sometimes you may land up amongst the stars, and that's okay. Develop amongst those stars until you can move to the moon. Continue to develop, and if you feel like you get shot down or coaches aren't seeing you where you feel like you should be seen, continue to develop, and then circle back around, and give yourself another shot.
Yeah, that makes sense. Before we move on, I want to dive a little bit deeper into what a JUCO is.
A JUCO is a 2-year institution. Usually, athletes will go there that may be a D1, or highly recruited athlete. But oftentimes they don't have the grades to go to the school. They have the skills, but they don't have the grades. So you can go there, develop your grades, right? Take some core classes, and then transfer out to whatever those schools were possibly that was recruiting you. There are several athletes that are well known that have done this. One of the notable ones that I love is Cam Newton. He went to a JUCO, and then ends up winning the Heisman a few years later at Auburn. So it could be done, but are you willing to humble yourself if that's the case, right? I think that takes a lot of humility to say, I know I'm there, but this is just a step in my path that I'm going to have to take to get to where I really want to be in life. And I think it's okay to take those pivots sometimes because life is not linear. So it's okay to, go to the left or the right of a path. If God has called you to that place, it's for you to really get promoted to where you may be one day. So JUCO is a two-year institution, and I don't know if that really exists in lacrosse. I'm not really familiar, and I don't hear of that a lot for lacrosse specifically. But I do know you have, NAIA and other leagues that are lower than D1, but still extremely competitive. It doesn't matter where you go play lacrosse, you're going to have a championship, whether that's D1, D2, D3, NAIA. You're going to have teams that are reigning champs in divisions for years to come, depending on where you go, right? It's going to be competitive. So don't feel like, oh, just because I didn't go to Georgia, you go to that NAIA school, and if you're not the school on top, you can possibly be in the same position that you were in high school, depending on where you went in high school. So I don't think it's just a layup because it's not where you truly want to be. That's why I said assess yourself amongst your peers. Are you always the star? No matter what, are you the go-to? Are you breaking records? I think you can sometimes compare yourself to the fold to see where you truly are.
That makes sense.
Understood. I ask the next question, Deja. The question is, what role did your sport play in sharpening or shaping your long-term goals?
Yeah, it was vital. I knew I wanted to go to college. I knew it wasn't something that I wanted to take loans out to do, and I wanted to play lacrosse. And it was a means to an end. Actually, it probably extended my expectations, actually, because I'm still playing lacrosse. I still get to do what I love, and I get to teach it to the next generation by the means of coaching. So it exceeded my expectations, but it allowed me to be able to go on a full ride scholarship. And I don't think it's anything more achievable than that. Like I got to play the sport that I love and get my education for free. So I walked away, summa cum laude with a bachelor's degree, and records broken individually and as a team. So what else can want out of, a sport? It can take you places.
That makes sense. Once an athlete, always an athlete too.
Go to an alumni game every single year. Relationships, places traveled, people met, experiences. Sports can do so much.
I love that. I want to talk a little bit about that in the real world. So, like off the field, how are you or how were you able to leverage the relationships that you might have made in that immediate community to help propel you outside of lacrosse in college?
Yeah, I think my personality helps with that. I'm just a networker by nature. It's just a gift from God that I have. I'm gifted with people and building relationships. As Coach White said, that was one of the ways that I even built community with people that we didn't know, that didn't even look like us, playing non-predominantly black sport. So I think that just speaks um, to character and the relationships that I was even able to build in high school, and that didn't stop in high school. It matriculated in college. The guys that I played on teams with are my best friends today. I talk to them every single day. I play in alumni games with them every year. I know their kids. I know their wives. So relationships can take you very far. And I think you are the people that you know, the books that you read, and the places that you go. Is a quote that I heard one day. And I think relationships are very important, and sports are a way to network and build lifelong relationships.
So I think we've covered a lot during this chat. It was a different chat. And like I said, I just really want to see how sports have impacted former student athletes and just to see exactly where we are now, where we were, and where we can be. Last question, and this is just to close it out. From your point of view, how can we strengthen youth in athletics and make it fun as well as competitive, and we continue to build upon that?
I think the fun starts with the player and not the coach. I think that's something that comes intrinsically or it could be external. But I think more so intrinsically, that should come from the player. That drive, that passion, it can be built, but I don't think heart can really be taught. Is one of the adages in sports. I think that's something that you just gotta have. You have to just love the game, and out of that love and passion for whatever you're doing in life, not just sports. I think out of that passion, you will reap the benefits and sow the benefits of that work and effort that you put in. And I think your coaches and the people around you just help develop who you already are.
Mm.
Those things were already in you. Your coach, I think a good coach just brings out what's already embedded within the person. They're oftentimes not putting it into a person. I think those things are God given. I think it's in that person from the beginning. But what makes a good coach is to see someone and develop in someone what they didn't already know and see in themselves.
I like that. Is that how you think about coaching?
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
I love that. What about you, Coach White? Is that how you think about coaching when you coach someone? Are you developing what's already in them?
Yes. Actually, I look, and I'm glad you asked my point of view of this question. Actually, I look for things that people cannot see within themselves, and I bring it out of them and take them to places where they didn't even have an idea that they could go.
Mhm.
And it actually takes a gift to recognize that. And I think all of us have a gift to do it, but all of us don't recognize the gift that we do have to bring it out of others. I'm thankful that God blessed me to meet Coach Whitehead.
Likewise.
I've been able to do great things in the lacrosse community with him. And his passion for the game is just a blessing for others to come. So I just look forward to us continuing to grow the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Forward to coaching with you this year, and this upcoming season of boys lacrosse at Southwest Cap. If you're in the area, feel free to come and support us. Come to a game. The guys are very excited, and I'm very excited for them to continue to develop what's already in them, which is a growing passion for the game. Thank y'all so much for the interview and listening to my story, Coach White and Deja.
Yeah, no
Thank you.
problem. I love listening to stories because I always want to know how people, like, what their origin is. Like, how did you even get into sports? What made you stay in sports? So, yeah, thanks for sharing it. And I'm going to close it out and say thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more conversations about being a student athlete and how it shaped each person's journey.